Good evening. This is News. I'm Isa.
And I'm Hanan.
Tonight on News, how can we help homeless people in Manchester? We bring you a special report.
We find out what endangered animals there are in Manchester.
And our report to investigate air pollution and what we should be doing about it.
But first, today's headlines.
Hanan got an electric scooter.
Shams and Harriet's great-grandma came back from Iraq.
Finn is going to Emily's house for a barbecue.
Alex has a baby called Nancy.
And finally, literally thousands of people gathered at the Contact Theatre in Manchester for the launch of a new local television news show. The crowd was described as mainly very happy, and so far, the show has been a big success.
And now, a special report on homelessness from our reporters Josie, Mariam and Morgana.
I wanted to do homelessness as a project because it's a big problem in Manchester and I feel like it should be sorted and it should be known about more, because a lot of people just think of it, oh yeah, people are homeless, it doesn't matter. But then if you think about it, then it's a very big thing, because yesterday we found out that there's about 2,700 people in Manchester that are homeless. And it's only 1% of the population, but if you think about it as just one big number, it's a lot of people experiencing that, and it could, experiencing homelessness could affect your mental health a lot, and it could cause depression, anxiety, it could cause a lot of mental illnesses, and it could really have a very big impact on your life.
Yeah, it does. And I think you're totally right in what you're saying, Josie. I think people start off with problems anyway, and then just being homeless, then you adding on more and more problems that happen when you're out, because, you know, the weather affects your health, people get like frostbite. I mean, we're in the UK, it shouldn't be, you're right, it shouldn't be happening. You know, we do have a lot of money in the UK. And I think it's great that you're doing this.
We wanted to investigate homelessness in Manchester.
To find out more about how to help homeless people, we wanted to speak with someone who works with homeless people every day. So we spoke with Kat Sorby from Housing First.
What inspired you to help homeless people?
Great question. So when I moved to Manchester, I used to live in Brighton. I noticed, like you guys have noticed, that there was a lot of homeless people in Manchester. And I thought, what can I do to help? So I started volunteering at a little charity. And then here I am a few years later, and I've got this job.
Is it a difficult job?
Very. It's a very hard job. So I work with people that have been through, you know, they're a bit older. It varies in age, maybe men or women. But yeah, it can be emotionally quite hard because people have got a lot of problems. Sometimes they get upset, sometimes they get angry, and I have to be very calm, very patient, understand how they're feeling and be available to support them.
These are some things we thought would help homeless people. Can you tell us whether you think they are helpful? Build more affordable houses?
Yes, definitely build more affordable houses.
Have a maximum price of houses of £100,000.
That would be great. I don't know how we can do that. I'm not sure if other countries have ever done that. I'd be very interested if they had, but I would love that idea. I think I don't know how we would do it though.
Is the government helping?
This government, they helped a bit in lockdown. But in my personal opinion, I don't think the Conservative, the Tory party have helped a lot. There've been a lot of cuts to a lot of services, a lot of benefit cuts and things like that. So a lot of the people that I'm helping are really, really, really struggling and have had to go to like food banks and things like that. So yeah, I don't think they're helping as much as they could.
After Kat told us the government wasn't doing enough, we wanted to speak to someone about what more they could be doing.
We spoke to Lucy Power, MP for Manchester Central.
So a lot of people, when you say homelessness, they think of people who are what we would call rough sleeping. That's actually quite a small percentage of everybody homeless. What there's a much bigger number of are people who've lost their house but perhaps are having to be forced to stay with friends or stay with family or are now living in what's called temporary accommodations.
What are you doing to help?
What am I doing? Well, I try to encourage the government to change the amount of money that it's giving to people to pay their rent. So that's something that we discuss in Parliament and something I vote on in Parliament. That's what I do as an MP. I vote on these things. So I try to make sure that it's harder to evict people. So people perhaps who've got a little bit behind with their rent. I vote for things like that in Parliament to stop people becoming homeless. So that's what I do, I think, mainly.
These are some things we thought would help homeless people. Can you tell us whether you think they are helpful, yes or no? Give homeless people a large sum of money.
Well, they certainly need more support financially, yes. Maybe not, it depends. Maybe not a large sum of money, but they need to be given enough money every week to pay their rent. Yeah.
Build more affordable houses.
Definitely. And what I would say is truly affordable, because there's a bit of a thing about this word affordable, you see, as well, that the government have made it not really that affordable. So truly affordable.
Could the Queen help?
The Queen could help, and you know, the Queen is great, and she does lend her support to lots of charities and things. She doesn't have a lot of direct power though, but she could have a word with Boris Johnson maybe. She does speak to him every week.
And could the Queen give more money to the government for homeless people?
Well, it's not the Queen who gives money to the government, actually. Do you know who gives money to the government? You and me, all of us, your parents, me. So we pay what are called taxes. Have you heard of that? Yeah. Taxes. So when you earn money, when you've got a job, you give about 20 to 25% of every pound that you earn. So every pound that you earn, you give about 25p to the government in taxes.
If we give more money to the government, will more people get kicked out or not have enough money to pay other taxes they need?
Well, that's a good point. So I think what you've got to try and do with taxes is make them fair. So some people earn a lot of money. So, for example, I, as an MP, I earn a lot of money. And some people earn even way more money than me as well. And so they should pay more taxes, don't you think? Yeah? You know, we could raise taxes, not from ordinary people, because that wouldn't be very fair, and that's a really good question you asked there, because that would put them in difficulty, wouldn't it? So it's about that fair distribution.
This is Mariam, Morgana and Josie signing off.
Back to you in the studio.
And since the report was completed, nothing much has changed for homeless people in Manchester. What do you think about homelessness, Isa?
Well, Hannah, I think it's a huge problem, especially in Manchester, that doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
Interesting.
We've just received this breaking news. Adele from Huddersfield likes singing in a choir. She likes the sound of lots of voices together. And now I'm handing over to Hannah for the weather. Hannah?
Thanks, Isa. It's nighttime right now, and I can see broken things. Many trees, some with blossom and some with not. Benches, buildings, the toilets. It's very cold out there, and the sky is black right now because it's nighttime. That's all for the weather. Back to you in the studio, Isa.
Thanks, Hannah. And that... Thanks, Hanan. And our special investigation into endangered animals from our reporters, Eslam, Hanan and Cairo.
We wanted to know about endangered animals in Manchester.
So the first thing we did was go outside and try to find them.
And there's some magpies. We're trying to find animals. And there's some magpies over there. Oh, they're eating some worms.
Wait, what?
Birds eat worms, so they're eating worms. Oh, some other birds flying in the sky.
Oh my God, animals on the floor.
Okay.
There's nothing really here except dirt.
I don't think there's any.
I don't think there's any.
Because if endangered animals were endangered, they wouldn't be that common. So how would you find them on the field if they're not common?
That's a fact. Facts, bro. We realised we can't just find any by looking outside the window because this is an old piece of land and no animal wants to come here.
So we decided to go and speak to an expert.
We spoke to Professor Stuart Marston, Professor of Conservation Ecology at Manchester Metropolitan University. What endangered animals are in Manchester?
There's quite a few endangered species in Manchester. The river species and some of the species that like open spaces. So there's a lot of people live in Manchester, of course, and a lot of gardens, a lot of houses, a lot of roads that are a serious threat to animals. So there's lots of species that are threatened, but we do a good job of leaving them space in the city, and so they can live alongside the people.
Are some endangered animals affected by the environment?
All animals are affected by the environment. Everything is affected by the environment, and the environment is affected by all animals. So it's just some of them are more affected than others. Some animals, for example, some birds that we see around, pigeons and sparrows, they can live alongside people quite easily, but other species can't, and they're the ones that we're most worried about.
How can we help endangered animals there in Manchester?
That's a very good question. There's lots of different ways we can help animals. I think one of the most important things for me is to make a connection with animals. It's easy to forget that animals are out there and to play on our computers and to talk to our friends and on our phones. But with the lockdown, due to the COVID crisis, lots of people went out into their local parks, sat in their gardens, went for walks to places that they never really went before, and they saw lots of wildlife that they'd never really noticed before. And I think that was very important. The more people in Manchester care about wildlife, the more the authorities have to do something about it. So if they want to build a big building on an important habitat, then local people can fight against that and help the animals because they care.
After meeting Stuart, we found out that there are other endangered animals in Manchester.
These animals don't live in the wild because they come from other countries.
This is Andrew Gray, curator of herpetology from the Manchester Museum.
Why do I specialise? Well, the reason why I specialise in animals is because when I was really small, I was just really interested in everything that was alive. And rather than playing football, I was looking for animals and investigating. I used to climb over the back fence where I used to live and try and find lots of little insects, caterpillars, little things like that, and grasshoppers. And I've always been interested, so every time I see a new animal, it just makes me realise how fantastic the world is and how beautiful nature is.
What endangered animals do you know the most?
Well, there's lots of different endangered animals, and unfortunately there's more and more endangered animals because the planet is being destroyed in many ways. But my specialism is frogs, and I love amphibians because I think they're just so special. There's over 5,000 different species of frogs, and all of them have different ways of reproducing and protecting themselves, like some of the animals that we've got here.
Is there more endangered frogs than endangered lizards?
I think there are actually more endangered frogs than there are lizards, because lizards have got scales on the body, they can protect themselves, but frogs are one of the first things that become affected by anything that changes. they're what we call a biological indicator, which means that anything that changes in the environment, and the frogs will tell us straight away. So I think there's more endangered frogs than there are lizards.
Okay. How endangered are these frogs?
So some of the species that we have at Manchester Museum are actually critically endangered, which means they're right on the brink of extinction. So some of them, like our lemur leaf frog that we've got pictures of here and that we've been working with to save, they're only known from one particular site in Costa Rica, and that's the last place in Costa Rica for that species. So we've been trying to save them, we've been trying to breed them in captivity, so that if they do become extinct in the wild, then at least there'll still be some left for the future. I think we have a responsibility where we're responsible for causing the animals to become extinct. I think that we really have a responsibility to try and save them. So I think we should put lots of effort into trying to save these species that we're affecting. And some of them, like the panda, we've focused on, and now there's lots of pandas, so they're actually not endangered anymore. But some of these tiny little frogs people forget about. So I think it's really even more important to focus on the ones that nobody really knows about. So I think it's really important to try and conserve as many endangered species as possible, so that in the future, when you have a little boy or girl in the future, your children will be able to come to Manchester Museum maybe and see some of our endangered frogs, and they won't become extinct.
Meeting Andrew at the museum made me think about how many endangered animals there are, and all the frogs and lizards that are endangered.
I realized that humanity is not the only thing in this universe.
This is Hanan, Cairo, and Esra from News.
We hope you've enjoyed our investigation.
Back to you in the studio.
Adios, amigos!
Sports news now. And Manchester City beat Everton with a late goal from Phil Foden, and Harry went to Saturday Football Club and scored twice. In gymnastic news, Josie went on the beam. Finally, Shams played Roblox. Here's a short clip. And that's the end of the sports news. Now back to Hannah for an update on the weather.
Thanks, Asa. I'm at Oxford Road Station now. The weather is pretty much as it was before, and I see benches and lots of cars. There are information boards and many posters. I can see some people, some are with a bike, some people are riding a bike and parking there. Then I see a lady with an orange jacket and confused where she's going. And I see many people talking together and drinking drink. And I can see a restaurant selling food and drinks, which is called Slice. And the man is just making some food to serve. I see many people that are departing. They might be gone from their family. They might be going to another place like you do when you're older. Some people might be excited to go on a train because it might be their first time. Some people are enthusiastic because they might wonder what about the train might be. Some people might be nervous because they might not have been on a train before and they might not know how it might be. That's all for now. Back to you in the studio, Isa.
Thanks, Hannah. And now we turn to our final in-depth report of the evening. We've been looking at air pollution in Manchester and finding out what we can do to stop it. Here, with a special report, are our reporters Daniel, Harriet, Shams and me. We wanted to investigate air pollution in Manchester. This news topic is important to us because it's our future and the adults don't really care too much about it because when they're gone, it's just going to be us and there's chances that no one's going to be there if things keep getting worse.
This black recorder picks up the air quality index outside and it's connected to the iPad so that we can see what the air quality is like outside. Outside we go!
We're going to test it. So it takes a while to pick up.
Alright, now I'll refresh it. Oh, it's gone to 71 now.
Oh!
71 AQI.
Nice. So like when it's high, it makes us feel like nervous because we're the ones breathing in the toxins that the cars are producing, and it will affect our lungs if we breathe in too much of it.
We're all worried about air pollution. We wanted to know what the general public thought.
What do you think about air quality in Manchester?
Oh, it's a sore point on the vans, on the old vans, it's a very sore point.
Air quality? Well, I do drive a car, so...
What do you think about air quality in Manchester?
I think it's really worrying.
I appreciate the clean air zone in the centre of Manchester, but to go the distance what they're going is just a bit too much, I think.
We've kind of stopped using bicycles and public transport, especially in my household, so I know we can do much more to improve the air quality, so yeah.
Do you feel worried about the future?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel worried about the future?
Environmentally, or just in general? Yeah, but especially environmentally.
No, never worry, always go forward. Never worry about, you never know, the whole of your life can change at 2 o'clock or a split second, so.
Do you feel worried about the future?
About the future? At my age, not really, because it won't be coming to an end.
I know that I can do much, much more, and I need to... This is a reminder for me as well that I should be doing a lot more.
Most people we interviewed didn't really seem to care. We decided we'd have to do this on our own. We went to speak to an expert.
Professor Hugo is the director of the Manchester Environmental Research Institute.
He showed us how they measure air pollution and then answered our questions.
Due to the AQI levels in Manchester, do you think we might be in danger?
What is true, so at the moment, the big pollutant is NO2 that comes from motor vehicles. That's the thing that's Manchester's air quality fails on at the moment, more than anything else. The trouble is that as we know more about particles and NO2, what we're seeing is that they're harmful to us even at lower levels than those threshold numbers. So what's going to have to happen is we're going to increasingly have to reduce that pollution even further to help improve those health outcomes for us. And that's going to be really hard to do.
Has your work ever made you feel really worried?
I think, I wouldn't say I worry, but I do think that there's room for concern and room for change. So when I learn more, what I want to do is to help share what I've learned and understand how we can start to change things to improve things in the future.
Does planting trees and bushes make a difference to like the air pollution?
These are great questions. To some extent, this is a difficult question to answer because it depends what you plant and it depends where you plant it and it depends how we walk about relative to the vehicles. But it can do some good, but it doesn't just strip out pollution.
What should people stop doing if they want to improve the AQI?
Driving. Almost certainly. That's the one big thing that you can do straight away. And that has a lot of quite important effects it reduces pollutants, it reduces noise, it improves safety for people walking about, people on bikes, whatever else. It helps reduce noise, which is a good thing. And most journeys are actually quite short. So people are blocking up roads in central Manchester for relatively short journeys, and we can do better than that.
When Hugh told us how much life is going to have to change, it made me kind of nervous because we've already adjusted to this life, and then it's just once we change, it's probably even going to have to change again.
After speaking to Hugh, we wanted to know what more we could do to help. So we spoke to Judith and Jane from the Whalley Range Climate Action Group.
What are you doing to help climate change?
Well, one thing I'm trying to do is work really locally and talk to a lot of people to see what they think, what sort of life they want, and how if we stop climate change they could have that sort of life. And talking to young people, because I think, you know, you've got many years ahead of you hopefully, and you're our hope, so trying to work with you and inspire you to do something.
Do you think our future is at stake if we keep on like this?
I think what is good is that there are loads and loads of examples of how we can live really good lives and not burn lots of carbon. So we can have really, really good lives, but we might have to think a bit differently about what they're going to be like.
What advice would you give to somebody that wants to be a climate activist?
Well, I'd say follow your passion, find other people who want to be climate activists, because it's easier doing it with other people than on your own, and then just get on and do something.
I feel like the adults are helping, like the Whalley Range Climate Action Group and Professor Hugh, but we should be the ones that are doing it. If it's going to be our future, we should be the ones fixing it.
I just felt doubtful because there's so many people that's just ruining our chances of being able to have a good future. We think you should think more about before you go out, because if it's a 5-minute walk, it's a 5-minute walk and a 2-minute drive. Why just drive if you can walk in it or help? Because even the slightest changes can help make a difference. This is Isa, Shams, Daniel and Harry signing off. Back to you in the studio. Bye! We're coming to the end of this evening's show, so let's go back to Hannah for one last update on tonight's weather. Hanan?
Thanks, Isa. I'm just at home now. I'm going to show you around quickly. I can see my shelf, which has a lot of books on. Our front door upstairs. On the left there is my room, which has my bed on the right side, then the desk in the middle, and then wardrobe at the left, and then on the other side of my parents' room is my brother's room, which is where my 2 brothers sleep. That's all from me. I'm quite tired right now. I'm gonna go to bed. Back to you in the studio.
It's nearly time for us to leave you, but before we do, we have just enough time to take a look at the headlines from tomorrow's papers. M62 closed tonight after earlier incident. Miracle panda born in local zoo. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is stuck in his house. Homeless man wins the lottery. Children reunited with imprisoned father after 38 years. Local shops boycott all products tested on animals. Politicians droning on about COVID. I passed my grammar test. St. Margaret's Primary School explodes. Beloved koala murdered by falling piano. Boris Johnson makes a full apology. Boris Johnson is sacked. Cocomelon to collaborate with the Teletubbies on major new film project. World's first flying car goes on sale. Aliens attack. Whoever gets COVID now will keep it forever. Power outage set to last an entire year. The world's smallest baby is born. Dog eats tiny banana. Oil to become free. COVID-19 ends. Manchester woman becomes world's most famous dentist. Queen Elizabeth II dies. Everyone can fly. Dinosaurs have returned. World's largest RV built in Whalley Range. Cure for cancer invented. New virus spreads across the globe. Everyone in Manchester leaves to live in space. Time travel invented. Germs take over the world. All the world's toilets stop working. Plants stop growing. There is no more rain. World close to ending due to global warming. Humans are endangered. New theme park created that replicates heaven. Freddo's a 2p again. Everything is electric. Everything is robotic. Flying cars are everywhere. Dying is cured. End of rainbow finally discovered. We can grow rainbows. Everything is rainbow. Scientists invent a completely new colour. Robots plant 2 trillion trees in just 1 year. Global warming is gone. Entire new universe of planets is discovered. Aliens arrive to help us. Everyone goes to space. The sun becomes a red giant, it consumes the earth. The universe dies. And that's all for tomorrow's headlines. Thank you for watching News. Have a very good evening.